you, I said that you claim it. It's that Xbox, spin the block, his legs live. Fast talking, no wriggling, moonwalking, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That flash make it a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the scene, you know that it's scorching. What's the matter with King? No response to the saying, advancing the line, advancing the payment. You front the game and shoot, what said that you claim?
You already know the time, told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Said what you running from? What you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Said what you running from? What you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted. This what you wanted, huh?
Peace and blessings and welcome back to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. And on this incredible Wednesday, man, this Wednesday can't get no better. But I'm telling you right now, I feel for these ponies, bro. Please, somebody check on J-Dub, check on Porter Rock, check on King Thrash, check on the generals that, that I give reverence to. Check on those guys that, the true PlayStation dudes, the ones that tussled with me in the streets, the ones that was telling me that Xbox was dead and we witnessed a live funeral in the making. You saw Kratos set a body on fire. You didn't know it was your pony's ego. I want to give a shout out to George Parcells. George Parcells, what's good, baby? What's happening? That's Slayer. What's good, Slayer? Lamont Davis, see you in the building. Who else we got in there? We got C-Ham, Sean Ham. What's good, Sean Ham? Reclaimer Rob. Thomas, what's good? Eve Ranks, Crispy Bomb. Bro, yesterday we got a chance to witness the total dismantling of what was once a great storied company. Bro, Oscar Wheat was good. Ruth X, Sir Pele, Iliad. Bro, dented is not the word. Dented is not the word. I'm seriously. I would be completely upset. I would be beyond livid. In all seriousness, I would be upset. Now, a lot of you guys know that I have a high reverence when it comes to David Jaffe. He was Insomniac. He was Sucker Punch. He was all of them rolled up into one. He held Sony afloat when Sony didn't know which way they were going, when they were going after young men, young boys. Boy. I think that was the best thing that came from that. Boy. Shout out to David Jaffe. We had him on Iron Lords. Cool dude. What y'all got to understand is a lot of these characters was made when the world was different. Growing up in the 90s, growing up in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, the world was completely different. We didn't bend, we didn't fold, we didn't break. Got to say Treyway after that, right? Shout out to 6ix9ine. We were different. We grew up different. We had different heroes. We looked at video games differently. If it was about guns and buns, muscles and raw testosterone on the screen, that's what we was about. We had Dynamite Duke. You had incredible characters that were made over a period of time. Is it me, or was that Wolverine Origins game super inviting back in the days? Now, I'm going to touch on this, and I'm going to touch on the absolute collapse of creativity when it goes into Sony. But the reason why I'm setting up the whole David Jaffe thing, because I think y'all guys got a chance to see David Jaffe's opinion on this topic. I got a deep dive that we're going to deep dive into this. We're going to react on something. We're going to talk about something. We're going to get down to the reason, because I looked at a lot of y'all guys' comments yesterday. And I said, well, maybe I'm not seeing the forest for the trees. Maybe I need to be sensitive to the wants and the needs of the community above my own at this moment. Because remember, my only want and need from this game was that it, excuse me, emulated Heavenly Sword in a regard of gameplay. And from all metrics, it did. See, because what I understand is this. I understand, one, you're not going to stop something that's already in motion, right? That's like trying to stop the juggernaut. And we're not here to try to stop the juggernaut. We're not here to try to put the brakes on what Corey Barlog and his game designer, we're going to get into that, have set into motion. You see, because when David Jaffe decided to create Kratos and the world of revenge gaming, because it's revenge gaming. You looked at Kratos, you looked at this anger-filled Spartan that wanted revenge on the gods for what happened to his family. And he got that revenge. And those games were phenomenal. From PSP to Vita, all the handheld games to the PlayStation games. The stories was told from a standpoint of 80s, late 80s, early 90s, early 2000, well, 90s, early 2000 action hero status. Dolph Lundgren, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Wesley Snipes. These individuals, Bruce Lee, that were larger than life, that fundamentally cultivated what we thought personified what an action hero was. And the God of War was that. I mean, think about it. The God of War. Not the God of passivity. Not the God of, I want to raise somebody else's kid and, go and live in a log cabin some goddamn where. Not the God of, let's chill out and drink some coffee. Not the God of letting you walk in my house and talk tough to me. Not the God of sit down and chill. The God of ripping wings off of Icarus to get to the gods. The God of fighting Zeus. The God of war. The one that pounded Hercules into the ground. The God of war. Not the God of walking through a corridor and fighting the next troll. The one that fought the Leviathan. You guys that champion that 2018 crap deserve everything that you're receiving now. But I believe that 2018 crap has permeated and infiltrated, and the stink is rising through the bowels of Sony's whole gaming culture. It has infested the likes of Sucker Punch, Insomniac, and damn near every first party studio over at Sony. Now, dudes is telling me that it smells like sweet baby ink all over it. I don't know. I gotta listen to the man, the myth, the legend. I gotta listen to David Jaffe. I gotta listen to this.
The God of War thing, though, if it wasn't called God of War, to me, this feels like one of those trailers that someone has to remind you about. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. It's kind of cool, you know. It's like it's God of War, so I'm not hyped for it, but of course I'm going to play it and I'm going to stream it and talk about it. But as it relates to just, I mean, I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible. I don't think it's going to sell what they need it to sell, assuming it is expensive. I don't know if it's expensive. But assuming it's expensive, I don't think this is going to. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
The sound is low. It's not really much I could do on the sound.
This fucking thing. I need to know if Corey.
It's coming off of Twitter.
Do something else. He was promised he'd get to make a new IP. Sony for. I'm making all this up. I don't have data. You know, they came down and disappointed him and said, nope, we got to play it safe. Money's tight, whatever. Gaming overall is.
So, you know, and he was going into his spiel on that. And that's the first time I got a chance to look at that. Gaz put that up, and I got to give a shout out to Gaz. Gaz, you got like 2 million on the views on Twitter on that, and that's what's up. But regardless I've watched a ton and listened to a ton of individuals either defend or eviscerate it. I don't know. See, I'm old enough to remember Heavenly Sword. And this is the hill that I will die on. Because remember, my initial reaction to the conversation of that game was absolutely not. But then I said, there is a slither, there is a hope for that game to make an appearance into the kingdom. And it was heavily based on it emulating what I felt was a lost chance at Sony capturing a fan base with Heavenly Sword. Because they had it, it was there. And then, you know, then we got Hellblade. And I don't really think Hellblade ever, in my opinion, ever surpassed what Heavenly Sword put down. Hellblade was good, nice, introspective, psychological game that dealt with the mental illness. But Heavenly Sword was a completely different beast. Now, I don't want to go into the whole idea. See, because back then, female leads were based upon the strength of the character, right? And the people that made it based upon their own pillar. Right? When Tomb Raider came out, Lara Croft came out, that was her thing. It was her. We compared her to Indiana Jones. Right? We compared her to Pitfall Harry. The comparison was warranted because those were Tomb Raider type of games. Right? Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know, movies. Harrison Ford. You know? So we compared her to that. But she was a standalone character in a standalone world and was compared to her contemporaries at the time. Not a leveraging of an established IP that I have to say is tarnished for me, not for you. A lot of you guys love that 2018 crap. A lot of you guys love it. I can't stand it. So a lot of you guys love it. That's good. Whatever. Do you, boo boo. Do you? That's the reason why they're going back to the originals, right? Trust me when I tell you this. We're understanding that building strong protagonists, be it male or female, has to stand on their own without the leverage of established IPs. Now, I don't know how you spin this. I don't even think, I had this theory, and I was talking to Cog. You're always going to hear that story. I was talking to Cog, and this is what happened. I had this theory. A cube named Frank, disgusting. I had this theory that 2018 God of War was never even a God of War game. I believe that they didn't have a God of War game making, and Corey came up with this game, and it was that, and then they put the skin of God of War on it because it felt so detached from what God of War was to me that I said this could not be from the inception. This had to be a game that he had already working in his head, had some mock-ups, and they put the God of War on top of it, and it was successful in that aspect that it sold. That was my working theory. Now we got this thing. And I don't know if any of you guys have seen a controversy or have seen the positives. You know, you got Cog that is sitting in one camp that is saying that he champions the game. And you got a lot of others like myself. Well, I'm firmly in the middle, right? Normally I really like pick a side. I'm firmly in the middle because they did hit what I asked for Heavenly Blade. But then there's a lot of PlayStation dudes that were completely disappointed with the state of play, but also knew that this game was coming and expected it to be something other than what was shown, and realized what was shown is what they're going to get. They walked away disappointed. Is this game targeting females? I don't know. Coconut water. I don't know. What's the core demographics? Because you're going to say a middle-aged woman fighting, because they gave me an over-the-hill Kratos in 2018, bro. Who's the demographic? What are we looking at here? Who is it targeting? Is it targeting Timmy? Young Timmy that is in high school? I don't think he wants to play auntie games. Who is the game targeting? The core fan base that likes God of War? Are you leveraging the celebrity of the name? Are you going to further bastardize the name? So who is this game targeting? The reason why I'm talking about this is because I got the people that's going to tell us who it's targeting. Let's get into this, and you should be able to hear this with no problem.
We talked about a prequel and kind of what we would have told the story about, and while those events are still quite interesting, it just felt like what we really wanted to start with was right where we left off.
Now, I'm going to do frequent stops and talks about this. And we're going to get into the reason why this game was made. We're going to get into the target audience for this game. And we're going to get to the truth of the game. We're not going to get into speculation. We're not going to talk about what we think. We're going to get into the minds of the creators that brought this game to us. Because we can try as much as we want to dictate what we expect the game to be, like a lot of guys in the chat is probably arguing the validity of this title. But let's see how accurate you are.
You know, we're getting to the point in the God of War franchise where we can start telling stories about more characters. And for us, Faye has always really been the starting point for Kratos and Atreus on their journey, and really getting to know her as a character, you know, fully as a three-dimensional human has been really important to us.
So they felt that Faye was the starting point for Atreus and Kratos on their journey. So her end was their beginning. And then this thing takes off from her end in their beginning.
And it started, I think, really in 2018. It just, who was this woman who was a match equal to Kratos?
And this world, as we continue to expand it and show more and more of what the universe of God of War is all about, these key things.
Did you listen to the language? They said now God of War is no longer Kratos. He is no longer the God of War. God of War is a universe that in which encompasses Kratos, Atreus, Faye, and other characters that they will be utilizing later on. So you can see the overarching mission statement of Sony Santa Monica when it comes to God of War. See, we interpreted God of War, the story, as a story of Kratos. We didn't know that the lofty ambitions of Cory Barlog and Ariel here was to make a universe of Kratos. So no longer is Kratos the God of War. God of War is the universe. And Kratos is a bit character in that universe of God of War. Stick with me.
Little characters play a role, not only in what has happened, but what will happen. So it's really, for me, a very important character to continue to explore.
Yeah, we definitely learned the outlines of Faye from just everybody else's experiences and what they told us about her, but getting to really kind of dive in deep and kind of understand what drives her and what makes her unique and a warrior and just somebody who really has a special place within the franchise as a whole.
So during Kratos's and Atreus's journey, they have found out stories about Faye, and they got a brief outline, and they felt that she deserved, because those two games were made about her outline and their maturation as a father/son dynamic, and Loki's maturation from a child to a young adult. We're finding out the mother and the mother's story in the afterlife of who she truly was, Kratos' match, if we will, right?
Faye has a different physique, I would say, than Kratos. She's not quite as solidly built brick wall as Kratos is, but she's every bit as much of a warrior. And so for her, leaning into that kind of agility, that flexibility, the speed, while still maintaining how deadly she is, I think for us that was really a key spot to kind of hone into. And just for us, you know, as developers, looking through all of the games we've made, the Greek saga, the Norse saga, and really kind of stay true to our combat roots. You know, this kind of quick, visceral combat, you know, the fluidity of the Greek saga, but kind of the up close and gritty personal of the Norse saga.
So what they saying is this is an amalgamation of the Greek saga, also with the Norse saga of the up close visceral combat. I honestly see the fluidity, and I think this is based heavily off of Heavenly Sword, more so than the Kratos himself with the Greek saga, the Greek trilogies. I honestly believe that they looked at what inspired this and they took that and they expounded upon it and gave you more of what I felt that Heavenly Blade or Heavenly Sword was. This, and it is, make no mistake, the fact that she's using a sword is more than enough key for me because she does have powers with magic, right? We're seeing that here as she's able to smack enemies up in the air and yank their soul out their body while the jelly blob thing is attacking from the side. Pause.
And can bury those together in something that's really uniquely Fae.
It's good accent, right? You have Kratos is very deliberate, straightforward combat persona now, and this new feel from 2018 to now, and this kind of new, almost polar opposite end of still a very familiar combat experience that has the influence of the roots. So you kind of get this great new sort of addition alongside Kratos.
Now, I did see and I did hear that a lot of you guys had problems with how colorful the world was. I was watching Fun Speculation earlier today. Shout out to Mav. Mav, you did a wonderful job in giving your take on what you saw. And Mav was saying that it looked whimsical. It had a whimsical feel to it. And I understand what he's talking about. He's talking about the bright colors, the flowers, the stuff like that. That whimsical feel, that fantasy feel. But remember, she's in the afterlife trying to pass on and get to the next side. Now, they do highlight an aspect of it that can actually answer some questions that I had. Because a lot of you were looking forward to the next God of War going to Egypt. Well, I think they have supplanted that whole idea and implanted it here with the story of Faye, right? Because you're going to see Seti, and she is the Egyptian goddess that shows up here. But then you also see I think he's the Asian god of war that she is actually fighting here. But let's continue.
Well, super important for us to really start on the same page as the players. And, where we left Faye was that she was dead. And we talked about a prequel and kind of what we would have told a story about. And, while those events are still quite interesting, it just felt like what we really wanted to start with was right where we left off, and drive that story forward from Faye's perspective, and then really put Faye and players in the same spot about exploring this new world.
And
so the bigger question is, what happens when gods die? Where do they go? What is Valhalla? What is the transcending? What is the passing on? Because in our mortal plane, we view the ending, death, as finite, is over. That's it. Well, apparently, when gods die, it's infinite. And it has more conversation afterwards. And they found a gameplay loop and a storyline beat that they're able to utilize the unknown into telling a story. Because remember, she's dead.
even back in 2018, we started sort of building all of this. We were setting tiny little narrative beats that were going to start to structurally support this growth of the universe, and going into Ragnarok and having Odin's sort of thrust be this fear. What happens when I die? I know what happens to everybody else. I set it all up, but like, what happens to gods when they die? And that sort of question, which remained unanswered, was that sort of question out to the audience. That idea of like, we are going to explore this. And one of the most sort of famous deaths inside of this world is the inciting incident for this rebirth. And I think that is the perfect character for that perfect time to then start to say, there is more to this world that you know. Beyond what
So, if understanding Cory Barlog's idea of making a universe of God of War, and this is to give greater introspective into the game, to not turn around the naysayers of the game, but just to give you a greater insight to understanding what his mindset was when he looked at God of War. He didn't look at it as just Kratos. He looked at it as an overarching story, an overarching universe where many different stories can be told within the same universe, and having these bit players launch off into something different. There's a reason why they started off with the death of Laufey, right? Is it a Faye? Is the reason why they started off with her death is because they always knew that her death was going to be her beginning. So she was always planned out to be this character, and they always kept her as a mystery from us in the beginning, so we can discover her in this new game.
you knew from the Greek era, beyond what you knew from where we were in Norse, but it just goes so much further beyond it. It all connects to each other. It all influences each other. And the idea of being able to see her reborn, right, in this new world and have to kind of get those awkward first steps together.
Fresh air.
Now, this is the stupidity that I can't really vibe with, right? The fact that you got the jelly cube and you got the talking sword. So you got a talking sword, well, talking ribbons, and the jelly cube that actually talks. And then you're going to have another character. See, my biggest problem with 2018 was there was too much hand-holding, and it looks like hand-holding is back.
Frank as a jellied cosmic cube has really was really one of the very first characters that we came to, and has always.
She said that was the first character you talked about. So you in your head said to yourself, we need a cosmic cube called Frank that will hold a sword that will be a magical link to Faye as she goes on in this journey to battle in the afterlife. Who was on mushrooms?
He's been a jellied cosmic cube, and really this person who is have imbued with that same magic of the absolute influence of the everyman, but really his curiosity, his kind of like being present in the now and kind of up for adventure is you know, the things that I love most about Frank. But just also, you know, mechanically, technologically, emotionally, being able to connect with the jellied cosmic cube.
She said that she can emotionally connect to the jelly cosmic cube. Okay.
And see where that can go, and all the questions we get to kind of ask and answer with that, and still develop a really meaningful relationship has been really awesome. I mean, I think as well, just that personality in our weapons, you know, the Blades of Chaos have always kind of had a personality, but have never really spoken. And this time being able to kind of put such a deadly weapon and give it a caretaker that is also part of the experience in there, and get to know them and really understand, you know, they have a journey and an arc across the story as well.
Yeah, Blades had
Now, we see that Faye has magic. She's strong, but this sword has powers that is equal or greater to what she possesses. What keys does this sword unlock? What barriers do it breach? Why is the jelly cube, Frank, necessary? There's a lot of questions that they put forth to us by giving us these characters in this 20-minute segment that they did with this game. But I think they're going to break down the necessariness of these characters, right? They're not just there for story-driven sake, right? They're not just there to keep the story moving along. I would hope that there's some key points in making sense to it. Because, and I hope that the cube can die. Unlike Atreus that has stuck around, Loki, can we kill the cube?
That like emotional resonance of this sort of really bad deal that impacted and branded him for the rest of his life. And they have just this interesting connection for Kratos, but then that sort of building beyond is that the axe, it represented Faye. It represented this sort of passing of the torch, this feeling that she was there, present inside of this weapon, and then us as we're sort of looking at how do we expand, how do we connect all these pieces together and feel like, you know what, this is still something new, but built foundationally on kind of how we've expanded. So you have this trio of characters that they represent.
Will Faye get us axe? Being that that axe was her axe and she's well versed in axe fighting, she seems to be a master of weapons, right? Because she picks up the sword and uses the sword like it's second nature. So is she a master of weapons when it comes to utilizing different weapons throughout the game? Will there be other weapons? Will there be an axe? What will we see her utilize, right? Because Kratos uses numerous weapons, so it stands the chance that she picks up the sword without having missed a beat while utilizing her magical powers. So remember, she utilizes the axe that Kratos now has, and he welds in the life, and she's in the afterlife. Does she get an axe of equal power later on? And does all the weapons have a personality? Because she's dead. So does she come across a weaponsmith that gives out talking weapons?
The past, the present, and the future, right? Faye is obsessed and sort of focused on the step ahead. I have this goal, I need to accomplish this. She's driven forward, myopically, some would say, in that sense. And then you have Rue, sort of, you know, timid and reflective of the past and sort of self-punishing, and Frank, who wants nothing more than to embrace the present, to live in the moment and take it all in, sort of absent of the past and the future.
Okay, so what Corey is explaining is that Frank the Cube keeps you grounded in the present. Faye is mission driven. She wants to get to the future, and the ribbon sword is stuck in the past. So we have the past, present, and future existing all at one time. I want to know, what trip are they on?
Really sort of wanting that. But it is this conglomeration of us, individual human beings. We have all of these pieces, and sometimes one becomes more dominant. We become way too obsessed with one aspect or the other, struggling and failing often to achieve the balance of all of that. And this kind of journey, breaking these things off into three separate characters and seeing how they will all achieve balance and influence each other throughout the journey is really super interesting.
Now, Sete, and seeing these Egyptian soldiers with Beset, this makes me believe that this is the Egyptian aspect in which we thought we would see Kratos in, but we're going to see Faye in. Because she has the skin color of Osiris. If anybody follows Egyptian mythology.
Everyone has this kind of like birthplace and afterlife of the gods. But this is really the place where all magic comes from and where all magic returns to. And for us, that's all magic now. So before, we've kind of seen through Kratos this, traversal from one mythology to another, and they're existing in the mortal planes. But for us, I think it was really interesting to say, maybe there's this place where all the magic comes from, where all mythologies kind of return to, and what does it mean for all of those people, those beings to come together? What does it look like? What does it feel like? And being able to just meet different characters from different mythologies, tell different stories. And
so now we don't have to ever wonder, will there be Egyptian gods inside the God of War universe, because all gods exist in the plane on which Faye is existing at this moment, right? So then it stands to reason that if she's existing in this plane of existence where you can see Egyptian gods, then Kratos in the mortal plane can actually come to some terms with seeing Egyptian gods, and we probably can get a proper Egyptian. Maybe this is the connecting tissue to that game that we so desire.
Wrap our arms really around that concept of kind of
A world overfilled with magic.
So Bexi and Sekhmet are two respective gods of war, and Sekhmet is the goddess of war and healing from Egypt, and Bexi is from Mongolian mythology. And
okay, so this is Bexi and this is Sekhmet, right? So, and you can see the dreadlocks. You can tell by the green skin, the greenish hue of the skin. The mythology is being well represented, and Bexi being red, being fiery. I think that is of Hindu nature. I don't know, because I see the third eye there, so I will definitely have to delve deep into that.
both of them come at war and the everyone with kind of slightly different personalities, but still
Mongolian.
that kind of God of War take.
All right, so the Mongolian
they're
God
brutal,
of War. Okay.
They're very ruthless when it comes to it, and definitely stack up as strong enemies. Leave a very good first impression, or maybe bad first impression for Faye within the reveal.
Afterlife of the Gods is this fascinating sort of landscape for us to explore, because so much.
I ain't gonna hold you. I love how the dreads look and how the dreads are reacting. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you. When I did see this aspect of it, I kind of warmed up to it. I ain't gonna hold you.
Our human understanding of this idea of our afterlife is this, like, it's gonna be really bad or really good, right? And then most of us are aspiring to this sort of, like, it's gonna be this fantastic, idyllic place. And for the gods, it really is this sense of they were all terrible, terrible people when they were ruling. And so thrusting all of these sort of gods into a singular space in which they cannot escape is this recipe, this powder keg for, oh, this is not going to go very well. And being put in the middle of that kind of conflict pre-existing, that sort of sense that, hey, this is not the friendliest of places, because the people who are in charge here are not the friendliest of people, right? It really is this concept of throwing a bunch of billionaires on an island. They are not going to self-organize in the most beneficial way, right?
It makes sense, but I want to know, what other gods do we get a chance to see? Not only gods that are on the other side, but gods that have probably transcended during a lot of these fights. Do we get a chance to see a lot of the Greek gods that Kratos had sent to the afterlife? Do we get a chance to see Zeus? Do we get a chance to see Hercules? Do we get a chance to see Apollo? Do we get a chance to see these characters, these gods in the afterlife, taking out their frustrations on Faye? Because Faye is linked to Kratos. And what better way to get their revenge on Kratos is to subjugate his wife, the love of his life, to whatever whims that they have in that afterlife.
It is this sort of struggle for power because they existed in a struggle for power, So their idyllic afterlife is this continued struggle for power and this struggle for dominance. And Faye starts in the middle of that to be, I don't want to be here. I need to navigate through all this.
You know, as we kind of unpack and unfold that story of what have Baxi and Sekhmet done to the everyone, why has nobody come through the gateway in some time, and what's Faye's purpose and all of that. I think those were all really juicy questions for us to kind of bite into. It starts with the death, but then I think it asks the question about what we do after. And I think for me, I think for the team, you know, Faye's story is a exploration of transformation, and you know, what do we become when we leave things behind.
I don't want them to give her a way back. I want, once you're finished, you're finished. Maybe you go into a different plane of existence and you live throughout that plane of existence. But I want them to tackle the tough questions on transcending. Once you transcend, there's no mortal way back. There's no reincarnation. I don't want her showing up, seeing Kratos again. None of that stuff. I want them to play into the hard questions and give their interpretation of whatever the answer would be, opposed to an easy payoff.
And that is, I think, a pretty interesting story, hopefully. But that's one that I gravitate towards.
Cathartic for us. Concept of our own deaths, right? Of being able to make it fantastic and contend with different questions.
Kratos!
Faye has played Funny, the enigmatic, wonderfully talented Deborah Wall, who was in Ragnarok and really just embodies Faye, just her sense of adventure, her genuine kind of emotional connection with people, and just like being in the moment has been great.
Oh, you're different.
Jack Quaid is the voice of Frank, and he's
The funny part about this is this, right? You're going to see a lot of PlayStation guys justifying the game. You're going to see a lot of Xbox guys damning the game. And then you're going to see a lot of PlayStation guys damning the game. You're going to see a lot of Xbox guys justifying the game. It's dividing the gaming community in a sense that, again, if we didn't have Sweet Baby Inc., if none of that stuff ever happened, if we didn't have the DEI initiative to push forward, right? Oh, yeah. The alien is back, and he's bringing the lovely Olivia.
At Pat12345A donated $9.99 through Super Chat. I wonder why Sony raised the prices of their consoles. It makes no sense. If they're making a profit on their consoles, I heard their games are completely down as far as sales.
Okay, so they raised the prices on the consoles to make money because at the current chipset rate and the RAM rate and all that other stuff rate, it pushed them to a point where they weren't making money. They're no longer subsidizing consoles, right? But as far as their sales being down, their sales was down way before the rise in costs of consoles. And that's for everybody across the boards. But that has everything to do with live service games, everything to do with free-to-play games, and the changing of how we engage with things. So it really has absolutely nothing to do with the rise in the cost of a console, but it does have a lot to do with where our interest lies now. A lot of younger kids don't care about video games. They weren't brought up on video games. They're brought up on tablets and phones. So their currency now is clout, Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that. Whereas video games is no longer a metric needed for them, because think about it this way. Their attention span is that much, right? They got the attention span of a gnat. they will not sit there and try to figure out how to do certain games. That's the reason why you see the rise of these quick time event games. They call them journalist games because they feel that journalists don't have enough time to finish games, that they come out so rapidly. So they give you this easy journalist mode type of stuff, story driven game that they could write about is real good. These type of games are games for journalists, what I hear. And the conversation wrapped around that is really dumbing down gamers. That's why you see a lot of old school gamers and some young school gamers too look for games that like Mina the Howling, stuff like that. You know, games that actually make dexterity a thing. You know, what is it? Meat Boy, the 3D Meat Boy. That game is crazy. It's games that test your intellect, test your dexterity, see if you can game that type of thing. And not everything is a Souls-like game, all right? So I don't really believe that the rising cost of consoles contributed to low sales of games, because that was happening before that. But it is a factor now, so it's partially right.
Extraordinarily delightful and always just, up for, again, the adventure of it all. And Perlina Lau as our voice of Rue. And I think, I believe this is her first video game, but I think she has also just really been open to the experience and just this very magical world that we're stepping into, and kind of the equal parts.
Now, the only problem that I have is, again, I believe that these two individuals want to make movies. I don't think they want to make games. I think they want to make movies. I think they want to make interactive pieces of art. I think they want to take video games and take it to the next echelon. I don't believe fundamentally they look at gameplay, game design, game creation the same way as a John Carmack would. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a reason why, David Jaffe finds the game foreboding, off-putting. It's because in his mindscape, he makes games for gamers, by gamers, about gaming. These games that Corey is crafting is cinema. That's the problem. That's the true problem.
Danger and awesome. So just the trio has been amazing to work.
Legendary Intel $2 super chat is Ghost of Sparta better? ? Hashtag no PlayStation 6. That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. Because ask yourself this question, and only when we get the game can we give you an assessment. Because what are you looking for? What are you asking the game of? What do you want to get from your entertainment factor? So you have to, and that's only up to the individual to give you that answer. The individual that purchases the game. I think that's what it all boils down to. Our level of individual taste in what we want out of a title. And does that title deliver on that promise to you? And I think that's where we're having the issue at, because a lot of people are looking at the promise of this title and they're not getting what they want. And then you see other people that see it and say, this is exactly what I asked for. So again, it's always going to be a divide, but the numbers will tell you at the end of the day, which side does it truly fall on?
How do I know I can trust her? I'll give it back. I promise.
Deborah was one of the first that it was like, I knew it before we ever talked. Well, and I was telling people, like, this thing. We gotta get our own thought. We gotta talk through this thing, right?
Oh, get to it. Back to the alien. You can see the graphically, it's at a
At
better fidelity.
Pat12345A donated $4.99 through Super Chat. God of War looks amazing. Tempted to get a PS5 Pro. I did get an Series 10 when I first came out at $800.
Okay, so you said God of War looks amazing. Tempted to get a PlayStation 5 Pro. I did get a Series X when I first came out at 800. That's the blessings. Listen, I own everything. I was told that I was stupid when I picked up my PlayStation 5 Pro. I spent $900, but I got the stand, I got the pregnant baby disc drive and all that other stuff. But I will never tell you don't buy what you want. You've earned it. This life is short. Live your life. But what I would say to you, and I'm gonna say, if you see anything, then champion it. Stand behind it. Because I can tell you this, looking at this God of War Ragnarok, I can tell you that the God of War Laufey is at a better fidelity.
Sure, yeah, it was just, there was this inherent certainty with that decision, but at the same time still an incredible amount of surprise with how she blew past any of the expectations that I ever had.
You see, that's Ragnarok.
Time is running out, my love, and there is much to do.
The world, even when we started in 2018, had a shape that I talked to a lot of people about, and that we were still trying to push and pull. And its shape has changed as more people have gotten involved and influenced it and sort of made new contributions to it. I think the sort of squint view of it is still kind of existing. It's still this foundation as we're expanding it out. We're kind of seeing all these opportunities, right? As you see in 2018 in Ragnarok, things were seeded that sort of connect to all the things that we're doing here. And the goal of all of this is that all of it connects. Is all of these stories are influencing each other.
So you see exactly what I said? His overall arcing isn't that the limited in scope that God of War is Kratos. And this is what I'm trying to tell you, that they're trying to give you a universe, and I don't believe that they're there to give you that one experience. They're there to tell you a ton of different experiences over a vast array of titles based on the God of War universe, and not Kratos just himself. That's why you were introduced to Atreus. This is why you was introduced to Faye, and you started to get personality when you started going through the God of War universe, the God of War 2018. That's the disconnect that I had. You see, because the Greek mythology God of Wars were focused solely on revenge and Kratos, family betrayal, and his lust for revenge, and delving deep into that aspect of it, and nothing would stand in his way. So that scope of looking at it through that lens made you realize that Kratos is no longer just the focal point. And this is the reason why we had so much hatred towards Atreus, because we felt that a lot of times Atreus took too much time on the screen away from Kratos, but it has always been his goal.
Connect it to a larger universe that will continue sort of growing, because it really needs to feel like living and breathing and tangible and real, and nothing is sort of like, oh well, that's
Let's go, George. Let's go, George.
At George Purcell 5,331 donated £4.99 through Super Chat. Wolf looks similar to Spider-Man 2 combat-wise. I'm worried for the story too, especially after that bad story in Spider-Man 2.
There's two things that I like that I saw with Wolverine, but that came out later. that is a story-driven narrative game, not an open world game. Good. Thank you. Right? So I'm not running around collecting Wolverine stripes all over the world. That one, not saying that I don't like that in Spider-Man. But I'm particularly concerned when I saw Jean Grey look as rough as she looked, because again, Jean Grey is supposed to be incredibly gorgeous. She's so beautiful that a sentient being called the Phoenix came down and inhabited her body, well, in space, inhabited her body and gave her the essence of the Phoenix Force. So in saying that, she also became one of the most powerful entities in the whole universe. But when she came to help Logan out in that brief segment that we did see, that 10-minute segment at State of Play, she did something that was fundamentally against the character, and that was killing the Ravagers. I don't agree with it. I don't think that. I give a shout out to Hollywood Rules. I salute you, Soldier. Soldier X rank member for 30 months. Thank you. King, wishing you safe travels, brother. Have a great time. Looking forward to the videos. These ponies look like they got hit in the nads. Hashtag no PlayStation 6. Facts. We're going to talk about me flying out tomorrow, going to Summer Games Fest. Remember, I'm going to be going live as soon as I get a chance every day, telling you what I've seen, what I talked about, stuff that's not on NDA, and I'm going to give y'all all the gist. So again, remember, hit me in the DMs. Let me know what you want to know about, what you want to see. I'm going to talk about it on the show. I'm going to go live every day for an hour. It's going to be... It's not going to be at the same times because I'm going to be 3 hours in the past. You guys are going to be 3 hours in the future. So it's not going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be probably 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. California time over there, PT time over there, Pacific time. But it's going to be probably 9 o'clock here. So you'll probably catch it later, or you guys who do stay up, y'all get a chance to see that. But we're going to talk about that. I didn't like what Jean Grey actually did. I didn't like the character. It gave me feelings of Spider-Man 2. It gave me feelings of Mary Jane, where she's supposed to be a supermodel and not a reporter.
That's just its own separate thing there. All is part of the larger tapestry.
I mean, I think all of the God of War story is like the thing that really connects everything together. It's just they're human stories in the middle of all of this mythology. And so I think for us, that the emotions, grief and rage and, our family and our relationships and who we are, all of that is under this, setting umbrella of mythology and, greater than ourselves magic. But at heart, it's still a human story.
And for me, television shows, right? Long form storytelling.
All right, so we're going to get into exactly what I was telling you, what I believe that his ultimate goal is. Cory Barlog's ultimate goal, I believe, is something exactly what I talked about. But what I'm trying to explain to you is they're trying to craft... Oh! Let's go! Let's go! Alien business. Bringing Olivia. That's my boo. AI, huh? Different.
At Hollywood Rules 2673 donated $5 through Super Chat. I honestly don't think these dopes read the book. That's the ugliest Jean Grey ever. And did they forget she's a god-tier telepath? Didn't have to do that.
Facts. Hollywood, this is the reason why I gotta dispel belief when I'm looking at this stuff, because they're catering to the lowest common denominator when it comes to the comic book people, when it comes to Wolverine, Spider-Man. Oh! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! I'm gonna get to that. I'll get back to you.
Purcell 5331 donated £1.99 through Super Chat. To the ponies in the chat. SM2 story was cheeks.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
At Hollywood Rules 2673 donated $2 through Super Chat. Wife of War had the hardcore ponies at a lost.
Yeah, they're at disarray right now. I want to know what they got to say. I want to know. They stop adding at me. Now I get ponies that want to age shame me, which is ridiculous. But see, okay, so I think they're catering to the lowest common denominator when it comes to comic book lore and individuals that know nothing about comic books. They just know of characters and they're giving their interpretation. So Insomniac is giving you their interpretation of what these comic books are, not direct correlation. But I see political leanings into this whole stuff, and I just hope not. Okay, I just hope not. So again, Wolverine is a whole different subject matter, but this piece I had to sit down and listen to because this delves deep into the psyche of Cory Barlog and Ariel and giving you what they view Kratos as. See, a lot of you guys want to say what you believe Kratos is. They are in direct control of who and what he is. An emotional, gentle giant that is reluctant to fight. He's just a bit player in the God of War universe. Kratos is just a small fragment in Cory Barlog's overall arcing world that he's creating. No longer is he the focal point. He is just a bit player that could be supplanted at any time with Faye.
It's the most exciting form of storytelling for me to consume. That feeling of creating a long-term relationship with the characters, that feeling of knowing there is a road ahead, that there is growth, that there is change possible inside of all of this, because I have something to look forward to. That's why I love the idea. None of these things is an insular, singular, separated thing, but they are all connected. Nothing in the sense of requirement, like, my God, I gotta watch or play 100 things before I can enjoy this. Oh, they still all kind of have their ability to allow on-ramps to it. But the rewards for that sense of, oh, I know this. Right, you watch the moment when Kratos goes back and, spoilers, gets the blades, right? If you never played a God of War game, it's still an interesting and emotional and powerful experience for you. If you play a God of War game, it's like, oh man, I know what this means. And in the boat on the way over there, you're excited. And I think that same sense of every one of these things feeling like they feed back into each other, but they also build.
So now do you understand what I'm talking about, where Cory Barlog wants you to feel emotion through interpretation of cinema? He doesn't want you to feel emotion with gameplay. He wants you to feel emotion through storytelling of panels, of scene, of cinematography, of getting the right angles. You felt that he talked about Kratos reaching down and feeling the blades, harping on your emotional connection to the previous gods of war, not what you've made now. Talking about the cinema of him riding in the boat, looking over at the land. This is the fundamental difference when I'm talking about David Jaffe's interpretation of God of War and what Kratos meant. Kratos was the God of War with David Jaffe. David Jaffe crafted a game, a character, an icon, if you will, that was hell-bent on doing things, and the emotion that you got was the satisfaction of defeating every mini-boss till you got to the boss. Every sequence of ripping, tearing, shredding, destroying to get to your ultimate goal, while Cory Barlog's is invoking emotions by you putting your controller down and watching. This is the fear factor that I have when it comes to modern gaming and what has transpired in right before our very eyes. where a lot of you guys are championing the nonsense that is taking the control away from the gamer and giving all control away to the camera angle and what that emotion that they're trying to get through to you by showing you a deer crossing the river. You're lost as a gamer if you're championing this type of gameplay. Because there isn't any gameplay.
Rungs in a ladder that is gonna keep going, and all of them feel as if they matter in the larger universe, and because they are part of this larger crazy board of things to do, and hopefully we get to do all of those things because I want to see.
I think that's important too, though, that we approach all of the games.
Did you just hear? What he wants. And she says it's important that we approach all of the games. They have a ton more that has absolutely nothing to do with Kratos. Be on the lookout for Atreus, Loki, God of War.
It's like, this could be your first God of War game, but we want to make it equally enjoyable if this is your 7th God of War game. I'm just excited for people to see what a badass Faye is. I think that we've always known her to be somebody who can stand equal as a warrior to Kratos, and for her to...
God of War, Kratos has no equal. It's not God of Warriors. It's not group of warriors. It's not gods of war. It's God of War. It's singular. It's singular in its title. The fact that you're saying that they're standing on equal footing absolutely supplants that absolute thought. The thought of Kratos being singular within himself is the whole crux of the whole God of War title. The fact that you even named it God of War, Laufey, or whatever the hell, talking about, oh, she can stand equal to what? This is the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And I hope you understand. By the end of this, I hope you know. I hope you know the road that we cross. I hope you know where we're going.
come to this world and really like take the punches and give them, I think for me has been very satisfying, just to show her not shrinking away from the challenge that's in front of her and really just diving headfirst into it.
I'm excited about people seeing and being surprised in the beginning of like, oh wait, this is not a prequel, right? Wait a minute, she's dead. What does that mean? How does that, who is it? Wait, that's interesting. We're sort of putting this character together and oh my god, she's really competent. Look how she can fight. And going into this, oh my god, they are really like vicious and brutal people in this world. There's a cube and it's talking. Like, I'm sorry, I could go on for like an hour about this because the reality is all of it was for us sort of intentionally, deliberately designed to have that sense of like everything stacking on top of each other. It feels that it's still a natural sort of fall of the dominoes, but it's still that like, I didn't know that next thing was going to fall. I didn't know that next thing was going to happen. What does that mean? Right?
And it sounds like you're going to have more questions than you're going to have answers by the time that this thing is getting to your hands and you're done with it.
Mystery box sort of paying off and still adding that sense of like, what's next? What's possible? I think the whole of it is what I'm excited for them to see and then be able to kind of watch as everybody has a different, I hope, positive reaction to it. Please.
I think that today it's so hard to be surprised about everything, about anything. And I think the thing that has really just been tickling the team, just like pushing us harder and harder is how can we surprise fans? How can we...
Oh, well, you definitely did that. I hope you tickle pink. I hope you absolutely tickle the deaf. I hope you actually tickled the hell out of everybody because I'm going to tell you right now, you definitely surprised the hell out of us. You definitely told us that Faye is equal to God of War, so this is a God of War game. Don't worry about Kratos. Kratos doesn't matter. Actually, Faye actually matters. This is Faye game, and Kratos doesn't matter in the overarching scheme of what happens to be the God of War universe. It's no longer the God of War. It's the gods of war. They all stand together. Stand together. Be proud.
Show them something that maybe they've never seen or would never expect to see from us. And I think that's really like where the excitement is come bubbling over for us.
Yeah, so y'all got a chance to see exactly what I was struggling with today. And me struggling with that today actually is the issue. All right. I could craft a show about a whole bunch of things, but I think having the true words of the creators, the developers, on what their mission statement was, on what their idea is for the universe, what does Kratos mean? Because a lot of people have a lot of different interpretations of what they want. I wanted you to see what they want. Corey Barlog wants to tell you a story with many different dominoes that are falling into many different parts that keeps you locked in. With sprinkling some gameplay here and there, but having you have emotional connection to Frank, the Jelly Cube, or the Ribbons. This is the reason why Kratos had a head on his hip that constantly talked. This is the reason why he was straddled with a child. Because it's no longer about Kratos. And once y'all get it into your thick skulls that it's no longer about Kratos, then you realize it was no longer about Spider-Man. It was about Mary Jane. It was about everything other than the Amazing Spider-Man. It was about everything else. You still got hope for Wolverine? Because let me tell you something. If it was truly about Wolverine, you wouldn't have got a scene of Jean Grey coming in giving you combo fights. You got the deadliest man alive with adamantium skull and claws that can cut through virtually anything, with a healing factor that he can't die, and yet he needs help. I want y'all to finally see the creativity at Sony is barren, or it's been hijacked by individuals that want to have a political agenda, an agenda here that is totally devoid of giving you games that make sense to the target audience. If the target audience is fighting back about what you're trying to push forth by removing actual gameplay and giving you quick time events, you're losing the plot. You're missing the point. I hope every PlayStation guy that came here today, not only just to fight inside the chat, I hope you guys, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's let Olivia speak.
At T.7527 donated $9.99 through Super Chat. Hot take, Control Resonant will score higher than Wolverine in September. Book it.
I believe so. I believe that there's going to be something that fundamentally breaks the immersion on Wolverine from a story beat thing. I don't know if y'all want to save refugees because the Morlocks look like they're refugees. I don't know. I'm going to be real with you. I don't know. I don't know what you are going to view as good game. I don't know. But what I do know is this. I do know that the formula that Sony is using and carte blanche that they're giving a lot of their studios in delivering messages to what is supposedly their target audience is off. It's completely off. And let's go. Let's get it. Talk to me, Olivia. Tell me, since the alien brought you here.
At X Solid Armor X donated $2 through Super Chat. Ponies should be mad as hell seeing this crap.
They should be. But would they be? Because when I was upset, when Gears of War started doing that esoteric BS with, she's connected to the hive mind and all this mumbo jumbo BS, that I said, oh, hell no. You guys, let's go. Let's get it. Come on, Olivia. Tell me what they got to say. I love the alien.
At Scott Woodford 76 donated $2 through Super Chat. GTA 6 will be on PC via Xbox, my opinion, or Onion.
Facts. Listen, they can try to keep games off of Xbox, but we have an Xbox ROG Ally X, so we're good. And mine hooks up to my television. So, boom, that happens, and that happened to you that way. Listen, I honestly, I mean, y'all guys, you hear me joke around with hashtag no PlayStation 6 and run them out of business and all that other stuff. They're doing it to themselves. That state of play was a 7. And I'm being highly generous because I love Token Fighting Souls. I absolutely love it. Green Goblin fighting. Yes. I'm going to play that Wolverine game because I'm a Marvel head. Yes. Heavenly Sword. One of my favorite games, and I'm going to look at it through that lens. I want more gameplay, and I want more fighting than I get cutscenes. I think that's doubtful, though. But this is Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. Tomorrow, I fly out to Summer Games Fest, where we will be bringing you, and as soon as we hit the ground, we have a ton of interviews going from Friday to Monday, where we fly back out. But we're going to give you everything there. Hopefully Nintendo pops out with their show and we get a chance to watch something from Nintendo on Saturday or Monday or whatever the hell. But Xbox is going to show up, Xbox is going to show out, and Xbox is going to show off. State of play. Bro, it's a reason why I'm the unmitigated champ of this. Because I called it ahead of time. And if Grand Theft Auto 6 shows up on that Xbox stage, there's absolutely nothing that's going to stop me. And Grand Theft Auto 6 will show up on the stage. I see it, I speak it, I achieve it. You manifest it, it happens, and it hurts. When it hurts, it's going to be your fault you got me this strong. Now, I want you to do what I'm about to do that you should be doing. I want you to go where game is game and win is win. And I want you to try to play the Game Pass. Oh, wait a second. Before we play that Game Pass, let's get right back at it. Blessings. I'm be working as hard as possible, boy. But if there's anyone that you think that is better than me in this space, then put them up.
What's a man or a king? What's it saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You from the game, and shoot what said as you claim it. It's that Xbox. Spin the block, his legs slide. Fast talking, no riddling. Moonwalking, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That much make it a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the scene, you know that it's scorching. What's a man or a king? What's it saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You from the game, and shoot what said as you claim it.
You already know the time told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Said what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted. This what you wanted, huh?